Alright, here we go. Welcome back to another Crabby Dice talks and rants about Kickstarters here. So like usual, we're going to be looking at 3 campaigns today. I'm going to go through the sort of gameplay, what I like, what I don't like, also the value, what you're getting in the box. Is it worth your money? Is it going to hold its value in the long run? And if I like it, if I'm going to back it, and so on and so on. So again, this is just my take. Give me some thumbs up if you like what I'm saying. Smash that dislike button if you disagree with me. It's all good. And if you could, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That would be fantastic. Let's get started. Alright, here we go. First game today is going to be 7th Citadel. And I am a backer, so of course, there's nothing wrong with this game. Let's just go on to the next one. No, that's not true. It's mostly all good. There's a couple of bad things that I'll mention at the end, or things that worry me, and that's it. But basically, this is a follow-up to their first game, which was 7th Continent. It's a very similar style game using the same mechanisms. There are some tweaks to it, but if you like the first game, you'll like this one, and if you hated the first one, you'll hate this one. Okay, it's very, very, very similar. Okay, overall, it's an adventure game. You're going to be going from card to card, having an adventure, building a map. It'll get gigantic. You'll have a save system so you can play later on. So on and so on and so on. I'm not too sure too much about the major differences between the two games. There are some of the changes in regards to some blue icons, which you can take cards and discard cards or something like that instead of drawing to your hand. I'm not too sure. You can read the rule book and maybe figure that out. But overall, it's, you know, almost the same game. Okay, so we'll not talk about gameplay too much. You can watch the many reviews and playthroughs of 7th Continent and see if you're gonna like the game or not. I never played the first one, and I really want to try this one because I think this one, the theme is better for me, and yeah, let me give it a shot. So that's the gameplay. Let's talk about value, and that's what really hooked me in here. Hook, line, and sinker, I gotta say. Just gotta go right after the section here with the stretch goals, and here we go. Now, you can obviously see the price on the right, but let's say it wasn't there. When I opened this page and I saw $80, I thought that this was another Aeon's Trespass type of situation where they were offering maybe a smaller game at 80 bucks and then have a bigger, much bigger game at $100+. But it blew my mind when all you have to pay is 80 bucks for all this content. This is the way to run a campaign. You offer amazing value, people are going to want your game, and have a track record of offering or making great games. All right, so Serious Pulp made 7th Continent, great reviewed game, everyone likes it, and they're offering amazing value, something where if you look at it, you can, you know, calculate in your head how much the value is going to be, and it's blowing you away. So let's look at what's in the box. You get 8 minis. These are some pretty terrible looking minis, but let's just move on. It doesn't really matter. You get some dividers. You get a book, I guess, to write some things inside. Some leaflets here to track your progress. You'll get a laminated board. So I know I didn't want to talk about gameplay, but this is a new thing that they have. It sort of reminds me of Trudvang Legends, Trudvang, however you say that word, from CMON, where you're going to get a game board with some sleeves, and you're going to tuck some cards in those sleeves to sort of make a map or track some things. I'm not sure what you're sleeving, but it sounds cool. So let's give it a shot. You get some cool looking plastic life counters here. They're kind of basic, but you know, at least you get them. You get some dice, 1 per player, I'm assuming, and you get, I believe at this point, we get about 950 cards, which is crazy, absolutely crazy amount of cards. You'll get an expansion here, a small tiny expansion with 30 cards, whatever, and that's about it. So that's unbelievable for $80. You know, just looking at this stuff, if somebody would not have told me the price, I would have said at least $100, and they're telling me 80 bucks plus about $20 shipping, depends where you are. So it brings you to about $100 plus with shipping. That's great value. Okay, so let's take 2 seconds to talk about long-term value. I think a lot of people are backing this because of the long-term value that 7th Continent had, but I don't think this is going to be the same situation at all. That one had much less backers Well, the first campaign anyway. So if you really wanted it, there weren't that many on the market, so the game was, you know, asking for a lot of cash, and people were trying to sell it for a lot more than what they bought it for. This one's gonna have like 30,000 backers on the first print run. So even if 2% of those people try the game, don't like it, and put it on the marketplace, or they bought extra copies and put it on the marketplace, there's gonna be hundreds upon hundreds of copies of this out in the wild for people to buy. So because of the abundance of extra copies out there, I don't think it'll fetch that high of a price that 7th Continent had. That being said, though, it should hold its value. At the minimum, you should be able to get your money back no matter what. I don't see a major drop off whatsoever, for especially if this game is as good as the first one. People are still gonna want it, and they're gonna pay for it. All right, so you'll definitely be able to get at least your money back if you get this, which I'm gonna do. Try it out. If I don't like it, then I'll sell it. There you go. That's all I'm gonna say about value. Let's just talk about some of the add-ons here that you can get. They added actually something new that I didn't see. Actually, this is brand new, came out today. So you can get an accessories bundle. I'll actually skip this because you can buy each of these individually, so we'll skip this accessory thing. You get wooden card holders if you want, 11 bucks. Do you need them? I'm not getting it. I don't need card holders. Next, you got a playmat. I'm not a fan of playmats personally, but $18 is relatively good price for a playmat, I'm assuming, but this one's kind of basic. Usually they're with the game board printed, stitched edge. I don't even know if this is stitched edge, so I don't know what the value of this is. Also, I don't really care about playmats. I don't know where to hold them in my house. They take up weird spaces of room. I can't store them properly. So this one sort of seems like they're giving you a box for it. Either way, I don't really need the mat, so I'm gonna skip that. This is what I might get. So I might get this 30 card expansion with 6 minis, and mostly only because the base game is so cheap. I don't mind giving the company an extra 20 bucks for this expansion. This is the whole overpriced expansion that I normally talk about in most campaigns. Most companies always offer an expansion on the side at like 2, 3, 4 times the price that it normally would if it was bundled into the base game, just so that they can make some money. And this one I'm actually gonna maybe get because the value of the base game is so high. All right, so I'll come back to this later. The quest item binder, don't really care. The extra leaflets, this seems like a good deal if you want to play the game multiple times with different players and stuff. I'm gonna try the game, so I don't really need these, and I'm foreseeing that maybe I'll have a better printout going forward. I'm assuming somebody on BGG is gonna make an awesome version of this that we can all use, so I'm not gonna pay the extra 6 bucks. But you know what, I can sort of recommend it if you want to play with different groups or whatever. You can keep track of your games. And finally, we'll get to the sleeves. Okay, so sleeves. So normally I say never get sleeves, all right, because they're always super overpriced. This is the first company ever that actually prices their thing almost logically. Okay, I'm gonna say almost because you can still find it cheaper in regular retail. All right, so here they're saying 200 premium sleeves for $9. Okay, on average, premium sleeves, about 50 of them, are gonna cost you $2. So let's just say you get 200, it's gonna cost you $8. So for an extra $1, you can get it straight from them. Not so bad. The problem with this game is that there's so many cards. You're gonna have to pay let's see, 1,000 cards, 5 times this, you're gonna pay $54 for sleeves. I don't know about you, but that's not gonna happen. I can get a different game for $54. I'm not gonna sleeve this whole thing. Plus, look at any game that was ever posted on BGG. The cost of a game with or without sleeves is negligible. There's almost no difference. All right, so you're gonna throw away $54 into the garbage if you get sleeves. Although if you want to keep this game forever and you're gonna play it a lot, maybe you want to protect it, but I think it's still a lot of money. The last thing that they might give you here if you get this bundle is you get a box. It's just the regular box. Maybe it'll be a different color or have just collector's edition written on it. You know, it's just a box. I don't want to pay $70 here for another box. That's just crazy talk. All right. So there you go. That's my overall thing. Now, I did mention at the beginning there were some bad things that I had to talk about. This was that sleeving thing, that awesome mechanic that I was talking about. The one thing I wanted to mention that was bad was, as you go through the campaign, you're looking at the art on the cards and it's really good. But then you end up with pictures like this, and I don't know about you, but if this was posted at the beginning of the campaign and you had more pictures posted like this throughout the campaign, I don't think I would have backed the game. Okay, I know they say art is subjective, but it's really hard to believe that somebody signed off on these pieces of art. Not great. Their character art, not great. There's other pictures of people walking or whatever. It's not good. The monsters are minimalistic like this. It's fine. It's just okay. The art of some of the places like this, it's fine. It's okay. So the art, I'm glad that the art of the cards themselves are fantastic, because the game is mostly that, but the art of the people, yeah, they could have worked on it and made it a bit better. And that's almost the only thing I really need to complain about. So overall, this is a fantastic campaign. I wish the company good luck. I hope we get it. I hope it's a great game, and I'm excited to try it. So that's it. Let's go to the next one. All right, here we go. We're gonna talk next about Dungeon Fighter. So this is the second edition, but they're not calling it a second edition, so maybe a reprint of a game that came out, seems like ages ago now, 8, 9, 10 years ago. So if you don't know what this is, it is a dungeon crawl. No, it's just thematically a dungeon crawl. It's mostly a dexterity game. We're going to be chucking dice on the table to try to hit this target board to damage the monsters that appear. And move on in the dungeon, getting XP, unlocking abilities, buying cards, so on and so on and so on. What makes the game absolutely hilarious are the monsters. They make you throw the dice in different ways, do a twist in the air, off your shoulder, off your elbow, off your nose, throw with somebody else's hand, throw with both your eyes closed, throw from underneath the table, on and on and on. All really hilarious things. If you're playing this with some beer and a lot of players who want to be silly, you really have to be in a silly mind frame to play this game. You're gonna have a lot of fun. If you're all too serious, it's gonna fall flat, to be honest. Okay, so I have the first edition of this game. Lots of fun. Be silly, especially with your kids. All good stuff. Now that's the gameplay. Now let's talk about the way this stupid campaign was formed and the value. Okay, the value sucks. It's horrible. Okay, first we need to talk about why. We need to talk about what they did in this campaign. So instead of offering the content in one box, Horrible Guild thought it was a fantastic idea, which is actually a horrible idea, matches with their name, to release 4 different boxes to this game. Okay, there can't be anyone on this planet who's backing this that thought this was a good idea. Okay, this is just a ploy for Horrible Guild to make more money in the long run, because obviously packing this all together in one box would have made the price about $100, but by having multiple different boxes, you can almost think of it like the expansion problem. Like, think Simon, by releasing expansions, you're releasing them at a premium, so the whole price is going to get inflated by having more boxes. This is the same sort of thing. You know, every box that you add on is going to add a premium. You're going to get more and more and more expensive. All right, and Horrible Guild has been doing this for the last 2 products. Railroad Inc., you know, the first game, red and blue, it's the exact same game, 2 different boxes. So if you want the full experience, you have to pay $50 for a simple roll and write. All right, instead of having those 4 dice packaged together in one box, all right, you're paying a massive premium. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's just something that they're doing now, apparently for the rest of time. It's just a way to siphon more money out of people, and it's a horrible practice. So Horrible Guild, I'm already done with them. I'm not buying any more of their products. Horrible practice here. I do have their first edition, and you know what, let me just show you how stupid this 4-box system is. This is essentially the content of the first edition with all the expansions. Okay, so there's a few more things that this campaign will give you, like I think there's an overall 20 more dice and a couple of more templates, but look at this. It can easily fit in this box, and this is a ticket to ride size box. Okay, so just to give you an idea of what the content is going to be. Okay, and all my cards are sleeved here, so it's taking up even more room than it should. Okay, so it sort of tells me that these aren't even going to be ticket to ride size boxes that you're paying for here. These are probably going to be like Azul or even smaller type of boxes. So keep that in mind. This could be an optical illusion where they look like big boxes, but they're not actually going to be that big. So we talked about this horrible thing about having multiple boxes. They have this stupid blurb just to show you how stupid they are. To be honest, sorry to insult them, but they're saying, oh, why are they doing it in multiple versions? So that you can have a unique, different game experience. It's a dexterity game. It's not a unique experience. And then their second paragraph, just to contradict what they just said, is that if you have multiple boxes, you can mix and match them all together for increased replayability. You know what? Screw you. You know, we're smart enough. If you package it all in one box, you could have color coded the cards so it's easily I don't know, separable, like to separate the game, and you could have easily done it in one box and charged like $100. What they decided to do was inflate the price by having all these boxes. Fine. So let's talk about value. First of all, when we're talking about value, let's talk about one box first. Nothing on this page says exclusive or Kickstarter only or anything besides the stupid metal leader token. So when I'm going to talk about value, always keep in mind that all this stuff might come into retail, and it probably will, just like the first edition. Okay, so for one box here, they're saying it's about $40. So let's look at the actual price here. It's about $40 because of exchange, but here they're saying 42. So think of it, $42. Is that a good deal? No, pretty bad deal, because the base edition of the the base game of the first edition, which had pretty much the exact same content, minus the 2 stretch goals, which was 1 extra template and 1 extra card, goes for between $40 and $45 at retail stores. I think I bought mine for $50. All right. So with shipping, this is 40 plus 15. You're already above 50. So already it's a horrible deal. Okay. Now, when you look at the the horrible value, which is getting everything. So if you want the full play experience here, it's going to cost you $140, which is insane. Okay, there's no way the content in this box is $140. Again, just the base game with all the expansions, I think I paid $110-ish. They were $15 to $20 per expansion, plus the $50 base game was about $110. And that was the first edition at retail. Sure, this one you get more dice and everything, but they're saying it's $140. But you should never compare to retail. I keep saying this because you're taking out the distributor, you're taking out the stores that are making profits. So already, if this is more expensive than retail, this is super overpriced, okay? Super overpriced. Plus, if this comes out at retail, if this is an Azul type box and it's 40 to 45 bucks, it'll go on special eventually. You'll be able to get it for less than 140, guaranteed. This is way too expensive. Now, we come to my favorite topic to talk about here, the collector's pledge. Now, if you finally want everything in one box, like I suggested they should have done from the beginning, it's going to cost $182. Now, this is overpriced. Okay, there's no, I don't even know where to start on this. I mean, I don't even know where to start. What I think everything equals is about $100, and what they sort of pitched it as a $140 thing, and pay an extra $40 for the collector's pledge might seem good, but because everything else before it is overpriced, well then the whole collector's pledge is overpriced, period. All right, think of it this way: with shipping, this simple game is going to cost you over $210 to get everything. Okay, that's really way too much. If you check the content in this and compare it to any other campaign that's about $100, that $100 game has more content than this game has. Okay, you can't even argue. There's no way to justify the price of this compared to everything else. Okay, it's really way too expensive. Okay, that's basically what I'm going to say about the campaign. Just wait for retail. You don't need all this extra crap. Even if it's a great game, it'll come out to retail. Let's look at some of these add-ons here. Quick, 2 seconds. Metal coins. This is the only thing that's actually reasonable. 30 bucks. You get about 50 pieces of metal stuff. It's not bad. It goes about... Every other campaign has about the same type of prices. Everyone's selling metal stuff between 25 and 30 bucks now for about 50 pieces, so it's not bad. This leader token, garbage, 1 token for 5 bucks, overpriced, skip it. Now the part that's egregious here, that I have no idea how they price this is complete garbage. So you get sleeves for 1 game. So remember, there's only about 75 cards. So let's say this is 75 to 100 sleeves, or it could be even 80 sleeves here, for $13. A 100 pack of sleeves for $13 is insane. That's crazy. Even if you get the most expensive sleeves on the market right now in retail, it'll cost you at most for 100 sleeves $6-7. This is twice as more expensive than the most expensive sleeves you can get at retail. Okay, and if you want to get the whole thing and sleeve your whole game, $48. Insane. Just, you know, I'm done talking about this campaign. Super overpriced. I'm probably talking way too long than I should have anyway. Let's just go to the next one. Alright, and the next game we're going to look at today is The Thing, the official game. So over the last 3-4 years, we've had other The Thing style games, but this is the officially licensed version. So if you're interested in that theme, well, this is the game for you. Alright, so just like the movie, what are we doing in this game? It's of course a hidden trader game. So this is brought to us by Pendragon Game Studio. So a bit of a red flag for me. We've seen over the past 2-3 years that these newer style companies, if they're able to get an IP, not the best results afterwards. We'll come back to that maybe at the end of the video if I have time. Alright, so let's just go through this quick. I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys. Hidden trader games that are more than 30 minutes is not my cup of tea. They're not targeted towards me. I essentially hate those games. I think that hidden trader games in their distilled form under 30 minutes, like The Resistance, Hail Hydra, Werewords, those type of games, they're fantastic. I absolutely love them. If we're talking about longer style games like Dead of Winter, Battlestar Galactica, Who Goes There, Los Angeles, these games in my opinion are pretty bad. You know, they're not for me, but they could be for you. So that's sort of the situation that we have going here. So when I'm going to be talking about gameplay, obviously I'm not a fan of these games, but keep that into mind. All right, so you know what, I won't even talk about the gameplay. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually talk about what I like, because you know I'm not a fan of these games. I'm just going to talk about one really cool mechanic that I really like that this game introduces that I really want to try actually. So just like regular, you know, hidden trader games, you know, you always have this voting system, blah 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 blah, whatever. All right, but there's a phase in this game that I find quite interesting. All right, there's this whole situation here in phase 4 where you go to a place in the ship. So sort of like Battlestar Galactica, but you control your own fate in Battlestar Galactica, right? But in this game, you can go to a part of the outpost base, all right, and put a card which says fix that part of the base and give it to the captain or whoever's in charge of that round. All right, but it's not necessary. It could happen that you're not going to be there to fix the station. It could be that you're there to sabotage the station, because what's going to happen is the captain, I forget his name anyway, he's going to shuffle the deck and then he's going to flip them one at a time and then assign those cards to the people on the ship, in the outpost. I'm going to keep saying ship because of Battlestar Galactica, but in the outpost, right? So you could have gone to the generator to fix the generator, but you know what, if the infected character is the captain for that round, the first card that flipped over is sabotage, he can say, okay, now you go sabotage the engine room. So I find that a pretty cool mechanism, right? So it could lead to some really interesting situations. Another really cool sort of check system that I like in this game compared to a lot of other of these style of games is the way that you check or you transfer your infection, right? So I know it's not called infection in this game, it's called something else, but I'm just going to call it infection. So if you're in a room with somebody else, you can transfer the infection. So you're going to be like, well, why would I ever go into a room with somebody else? Well, that's because it's a huge benefit to be in the same room with somebody else when you're trying to do a positive action, right? So you might want to team up to go in a specific room to do a positive action, but hey, the guy that went with you is infected, he's going to pass you the infected, and now you're both infected. So I really like that mechanism. So you sort of have to weigh the pros and cons of, you know, that action in that specific area by yourself versus with somebody else. It reminds me a bit of the Robinson Crusoe. If you want to push your luck with 2 dice or 1 dice, or use both your actions to do something, you'll automatically pass and something like that. So I really like that sort of mechanism. All right, but the rest of the game, just general hidden trader stuff that I'm not a huge fan of, so I won't even mention it, right? Maybe it'll tickle your fancy. All right, so now let's just go straight to value. Nothing else really to say about the gameplay. Actually, wait, no, you know what? Let's just talk about value. And this is where this game, honestly, I'm astonished at the price that they've posted this game at. So what's the price? The price is $93. Okay, $93 plus, I believe it's $20 shipping. It's gonna be like $115 to get this game. And what are you gonna get in the box? 1 game board, 3 mini game boards to track statuses, about 50 cubes, 1 weather die, 80 cards, 80 chits, and 12 minis. All right, and 4 dog minis, whatever, or wooden tokens, whatever. Right? I have no idea how that's worth $93. I mean, somebody can write that comments below and break down the math. It makes no sense. I can't even justify even close to that amount. All right. I'm trying to find an example here. I have a comparison that I'll mention a bit later, but think of it this way. If this game, without the minis, let's say without the minis, if this was all standees, would come out in retail, how much would this game cost? If you're looking at the components, I mean, even the art is not fantastic. There's no like unique stuff going on here. Even the board, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of this board, kind of ugly. But overall, it's not like you have a lot of pictures here that you have to paint, a lot of the unique stuff on the cards or whatever. How much is this going to cost? This is at most a $50 game. All right. I don't even know how somebody can sort of argue that fact. It's a $50 game at retail. Now let's add a miniature set here. We're adding 12 miniatures at retail. How much is that going to cost? 20, 25 bucks. So you're saying 50 plus 20, 25 bucks. That's 75 bucks at its most. At its most. Okay. Now the biggest issue here is I'm not trying to compare it to retail to try to convince you that this is overpriced. The real issue is Kickstarter games should always be 20 to 30% less than what they are at retail, because you're cutting out distributors, you're cutting out the store. This is just reality. If you're trying to justify the price of a game to retail, I'm already going to tell you that it's overpriced. Now, if I can tell you that the game is more expensive than it would be at retail, now that you're totally off base, all right, then this is super overpriced. Okay, and that's the situation where we have here. I have no idea where to get $93. This is ridiculous. Like, I would never back this, even if I was the target audience for this, even if I was interested. This is insane. But just like a lot of IP games that come straight to Kickstarter, a lot of people don't look at what they're going to get in the box. They're just excited because they like the IP, and this company's raised $304,000. I have no idea why. It sort of reminds me of the Umbrella Company thing from last week that made 400k off a garbage game just because of the IP. Right, this is really overpriced. I mean, there's no dual layer or anything, no metal, no nothing. For $115, $93, a little ridiculous. And then there was an update the other day, and then 35, so let's say $44 US, you get an expansion. So if you want an all-in pledge, this thing's gonna cost you over $150. That's asinine. That's crazy. Crazy. The last thing I'm just going to mention, just to show you how insane the value of this thing is, there's a game that was released like 3 months ago called Who Goes There, the second edition. That base core game was $75 US. compared to this 93, so almost $20 less. And there was more stuff in that box than there is in this box. At least in that box, you got dual layer everything. You got like 200 chits. You got like 200. I don't even remember, but you got a ton of stuff. It was this ginormous box, bigger than Ticket to Ride. You couldn't even ship. You couldn't even fit it on your shelf, and it was $20 less than this one. That's absolutely insane. Pendragon, I don't understand. You know what? It's working. People are. I get it that you have to pay for an IP at some point, so they're probably, you know, putting that into this price, but it is what it is. I don't want to talk about this price all day. Let's just talk about long-term value. If we're going to talk long-term value, honestly, I have no idea. If the game is good, maybe it'll hold its value, just like I usually say. If the game sucks, it's going to plummet in value. It really depends. What I am going to say, though, is that most hidden trader games don't hold their value. Just look at BGG. Almost every hidden trader game, you can buy it for much less than its cost. It's not something that people hang on to, unfortunately. I don't know. You can also compare it to Who Goes There. That game sort of held its value, but I don't know. Is that a fair comparison? That game is in the top 1,500 on BGG or whatever, or close to it. And this one, we don't know where it's gonna land. Anyway, there you go. That's my. So we'll see you next week. All right, later.